Welcome, everybody, back to the X Factor podcast. We got some good NFL talk for you today, and we're going to be talking about NFL preseason week 2, who to look out for, who to not look out for, who should get cut, who shouldn't get cut. And we're going to start off with the Browns. We're going to talk about just a few of these games, because some of these games I have not seen. I have not seen the highlights, so I have no opinion on them yet. So, first off, we're going to be talking about the Browns and the Eagles. And I thought the game was really good. Good to an extent, at least. And you got to talk about the two quarterbacks, especially for Cleveland. You got Kellen Mond, who I thought did really well in the second half of the game. And then you also got DTR, Darian Thompson-Robinson, who played well in the first half. And the thing is, if you get rid of either one, another team's going to pick them up. Especially if it's like practice squad. Because you got two guys that are right there that if Deshaun Watson doesn't play this good this year, you easily have someone that can take his spot. I'm more confident in having DTR go for it than Kellen Mond, but also like their stat sheet on Thursday was pretty similar. DTR 13 for 25, 164, no touchdowns, no picks. I think he had one. He didn't have anything on the ground besides 4 rushing attempts for 18 yards, and then Kellen Mond was 12 for 24, 126, and a touchdown. So the yards overall was significantly better. I feel like they could also move the ball a little better with DTR on the field. Especially in the rushing game. You could see when he was in UCLA, he was doing a lot of things perfect. Cleveland picks him up, and now you put him in a situation where he can fight for a backup spot, but also with Deshaun Watson, he can also fight with a starting spot if Deshaun Watson doesn't play good this year. And I get he has the big contract, the rust, but that rust should have came off last year at the end of the year. He should have had that gone. He has Amari Cooper at one side. He has Nick Chubb. He got a pretty decent O-line and a head coach that knows what he's doing. He should be able to go in there and throw, easily almost 4,000, 30 touchdowns, maybe 8 or 9 interceptions. If he could do better than what I just explained, then DTR might need to find another team to back up or start for, because there ain't no way that they're going to bench Deshaun Watson if he has a stat line like that next year or this year. Deshaun Watson also, last year, I gave him a little bit of a slack because of, he comes back after not playing football for almost a year and a half, which a lot of it he could have been training for, obviously. But preseason, he didn't look good at the start of that preseason. He was suspended, and then he came back and did not look good at all. And they had a lot of QB issues going on that year as well. But like I said, if he doesn't go into this year looking like Deshaun Watson from a couple of years ago, where he led the league in yards, or doesn't look like 2018 Deshaun Watson, then I would be exploring my options, because there's no way you're going to be giving a quarterback that big of a contract and him play like dog shit 2 years in a row. And if I'm being honest, if I'm in Kevin Stefanski's seat, I'd be in the hot seat if we missed the playoffs this year. Like, they would be worried if they got a really good, talented team, and yet they can't do nothing with it. That's where you sit as a head coach, like, oh, maybe I'm in a hot seat, got to do something here. So, as of for the Eagles, though, and I'm a Cowboys fan, I hate the Eagles, but I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. They got a good backup, not really a good backup quarterback battle going on right now. I think Marcus Mariota needs to get cut, like legit, like right now. Get that man out, give that man an XFL contract. He was awful. not only the offensive line was not that good either, but he was also awful. His stat sheet: 9 for 17, 86 yards and interception. Not that good. Not really that good. Tanner McKee, on the other hand, who I feel like should be the backup to Jalen Hurts, he was 10 for 18, 147, a touchdown, 0 picks. Like I said, the stat line for that was very similar, but the yards are way significant, and I feel like Tanner McKee really can move the ball down the field a lot. Like one of the last drives, like he was moving that ball quickly downfield. I feel like he is going to be the significant number 2, and give Marcus Mariota an XFL contract because he's not him anymore. Also, Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, they're also pretty good as well. I thought they did some really good stuff. Eli Ricks messed up on a couple plays, but he was able to get back up on some of the things. So, also another player that is probably going to keep his job, Austin Watkins, 25-year-old, used to play in the USFL. He had a really good game on Thursday. He had 7 catches, 139, 19 yards per catch, and a touchdown. He played that was the best stat sheet of the night. Like that was if you call MVP the night, it'd be him. And the game was tied, so you can't really say like the winner gets the MVP because he was the MVP of the game and they tied. So, I feel like if DTR was still in there, they'd probably would have won. But Kellen Mond, he was doing his work. I feel like he was doing really, really good stuff. And if it wasn't for Austin Watkins, Kellen Mond wouldn't have that touchdown, which was it was a beautiful touchdown. So, going into some more of the preseason action, Bears Colts. I did have a chance to see a little bit of that game. Nathan Peterman. I gotta talk about Nathan Peterman for a second because for years everyone, shitted on this dude for interceptions, and this preseason game he had with the Colts. And I know it's just preseason, but a lot of these guys are fighting for jobs. They're fighting for spots. They're fighting to get money. You're taking food off another man's table at the end of the day. So it means something to some of these people that don't get shots. And Nathan Peterman's also one of those guys. The 3 quarterbacks that played for Chicago, that first the Colts, Philip Walker, he was 1 for 4, 6 yards. Not that good. Tyson Bagent, he was a rookie quarterback. He played at Shepherd last year. His stats was really good. I seen his stats when they drafted him. They were really good coming out of Shepherd. And then Nathan Peterman, of course. Nathan Peterman. Tyson Bagent. Don't know how you say his name. 9 for 10, 76 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Really good start for him. And then Nathan Peterman, 10 for 18, 115, and a touchdown. Philip Walker, go back to the USFL, I guess, or go back to XFL. I feel like he's gonna be the one that's getting cut here because Fields, obviously, he still has a job. That's obvious. It's gonna come down to the rookie, Tyson, and Nathan Peterman. I feel like the rookie's gonna get put on the practice squad probably, and they're gonna go with Nathan Peterman as a backup this year. So, and then Darius Fountain, another receiver for Chicago, he did pretty good too. He had a 5 for 86 and a touchdown, 17 per catch. He did really well as well. And I don't think we got much of Anthony Richardson. We did not get Anthony Richardson. Much playing time for him. Gardner Minshew and Sam Ehlinger were the 2 quarterbacks that played. Minshew, 13 for 15, 107, and a touchdown. And of course, he was with Shane Steichen last year when Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl and they had their run. So obviously he knows some of the offense. And then you got Sam Ehlinger, who had somewhat of a struggle, or has fighting his way through in the NFL. He was 9 for 14, 124, and nothing. So Colts ended up with the win though, so that was a pretty good by them. So also the Packers Patriots game had stoppage due to a player getting hurt on the field. I think it was Brandon Bolden, I believe. I'm trying to find him now. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Or Isaiah Bolden, my bad. Brandon Bolden was a running back, wasn't he, for Patriots at one point? I believe so. Isaiah Bolden, he was hurt. Prayers to him and hope that he gets better. And another good QB battle between Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi going into the draft, not this past year but the year before, I was very high on him. I felt like, he was very, worthy at getting a starting position start, and now he has a chance to do that with Mac Jones potentially Bill Belichick giving up on him. Mac Jones was 6 for 9, 52 yards. Bailey Zappi was 10 for 22, 117 and a touchdown. The 10 for 22 was not perfect, but they still ended up with a win, so you can't really say nothing bad about that. Jordan Love, of course, he was 5 for 8, 84 yards, a touchdown. And Sean Clifford, the Penn State quarterback, who I was also high and low with going into the season because his last year he was, the year before he was dealing with injuries. And I feel like he dealt with a couple injuries this year. And he did pretty good. 13 for 19, 131 or 137 and touchdown, or 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. And then we get into the Broncos and 49ers game. Jake Moody hits a game-winning field goal. And, the main thing is which quarterback is going to start. Because a week ago, we were sitting here saying that Trey Lance might not be the starting quarterback. They might just let him go and not do nothing with him. You go into this week, he hits a game-winning drive and helps wins the game. Brock Purdy was 4 for 5, 65 yards. Sam Darnold, 11 for 14, 109, a touchdown and a pick. Trey Lance, 12 for 18, 173, a touchdown and interception. Brock Purdy, I'm going to say this right now, I think he's overhyped. I think he is overhyped. I watched him at Iowa State. I'm an Iowa fan. I watched him at Iowa State. He was alright. He wasn't the best, but he wasn't the worst. He was pretty good. And he goes into a system where, where Jimmy Garoppolo thrived in for about a year or two. In a good QB system. Now, somehow Brock Purdy is in, and now look at him now. And Trey Lance, he has not had luck at all. Trey Lance has had no luck. He was benched his first year. He got hurt last year, and now you already got 3 quarterbacks that could be starters somewhere or backups somewhere, and now you don't know what your future holds. If I was the Vikings, I would trade for him. If I was the Vikings, I would trade for Trey Lance. If I was possibly the Patriots, if they don't believe in either one of their quarterbacks. If I was the Cardinals right now, because Kyler Murray's going to be out for a couple weeks, I would get right on it right now. If I was the Bucks, I would get on it. If I was, Falcons, I'd get on that right now. Seattle, potentially, I'd get on that too. Also, we might have seen our next late round best quarterback, Tom Brady Jr., whatever, and Aiden O'Connell, Purdue quarterback. Like I said, I'm an Iowa fan. I've seen a lot of Big Ten football. I know who Aiden O'Connell is, and he has really shown out in his first 2 preseason games. This game, he had 11 for 18, 163, and 2 touchdowns. He is legit. He could be the starter in Las Vegas. And I'm not a Garoppolo fan. I don't think he's going to be good this year. I think he's overhyped. He was way overhyped when he went over to San Francisco, and Aiden O'Connell's sitting right there. If Garoppolo plays bad, Aiden O'Connell's taking that spot, and he's gonna thrive with it. Imagine what he could do with Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs this year. That's scary. And Aiden O'Connell, he is, in Purdue, I thought he was all right. Like, he wasn't like throwing like stat sheets like this up in the first 2 preseason games, but like he was doing okay. But like, since he, what he's doing now, it's like, what the hell? Like, he is going off on everybody. So, now we're getting to the last game, which is obviously the Cowboys game. I'm going to talk about Seattle here, and I'm also going to talk about their fucking shitty-ass announcers. That announced team, and I don't even, if that is the Seattle announced team, and I don't think it was, that's Seattle, that announced team for that game was awful. Like, it was straight up awful. Like, they were sitting there, like, they legit, like, there was, like, one play, and, like, one of them were like, my boy, and they would legit say, oh, that's the people that we picked before the game, who would be good. I'm like, did you pick any Cowboy players to be good, or are you guys just sitting here Dick Ryan Seattle stuff here, And the one chick, she would legit sit there, and she, like, when the Dallas had the ball, they would like legit ignore that they had the ball, but the minute Seattle got it, they were flipping shit, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, the biasness, and this is what I hate about a lot of announcers that are about being biased. Greg Olson's one of them. I feel like he is biased when it comes to a lot of shit, or Dick eats a lot of guys. That's one of the main reasons why I hate the 49ers, is that like last year, that's all he did was Dick lick them because George Kittle was there. And then, Brock Purdy, of course. I'm hoping Tom Brady, if I can take, some people being biased, but if it's like non-stop every week, then like fuck you, dude, man, like get off my dick, whatever. But overall, it was unacceptable. Zach Charbonnet, the running back for Seattle, he was really good. Like, he was amazing. Like, if you're a fantasy football steal person, that's one of the guys you're stealing from this year. That's how I felt about Kenneth Walker last year, but I unfortunately did not get him in fantasy football, so that one really hurt. Jackson Smith and Jigba, amazing. Jake Bobo, another amazing player, or amazing plays that he made during the Cowboys game. And going over to the Cowboys side, when are they ever going to give up on Will Grier? This is like the 3rd year in a row we've had Will Grier on this team, and like, we always somehow still get rid of him. Like, we still have him, but like, we don't use him at all. It's always Cooper Rush. They could have let Cooper Rush play that first half, and we'd have 24 points. I'm just throwing that out there. Also, Deuce Vaughn, amazing touchdown that he had earlier in the game. He is going to be a future star in the making for Dallas. He makes me forget that we even had Zeke, in a way. Like, he makes me feel better that we got rid of Zeke, because it's like, now we got another running back that's probably gonna take Tony Pollard's spot if we don't keep Tony Pollard. Also, Jalen Tolbert, 4 catches, 66 yards. He had a really good game as well. Luke Shoemaker, I'm gonna call him Shoemaker, so he did pretty good too. Also, DeMarvin Overshown, he got hurt, torn his ACL, out for the year, which just sucks, because I thought, when I watched his college tape, I feel like he was one of the better hitters and one of the best hitting linebackers I have seen, besides Jack Campbell, of course. And it was just beautiful. Like, he could hit, and I was really excited to see what him and Leighton Vander Esch could do this year. And obviously, Overshown he got hurt, so he torn his ACL. Obviously, he's gonna be on the IR. Hopefully, they don't cut him or practice squad or anything. They just keep him around, put him on the IR. Don't worry about, keep him, because he's gonna be good next year. And so that just sucks. So that's all I got for NFL talk. I'm sorry I had to rush it a little bit. I kind of had to post 2 other things already, so y'all stay blessed. So.